Okay, coming into camp yesterday, the things we saw. Number one, overextended downfield. You have the ball too far out in front of you. What that tends to do, now we have acknowledged the fact you have a long torso, long limbs, so you may naturally have it a little further out than those averages that we talked about yesterday for optimized setup. But if you put it too far out, a couple of things can happen. Number one is it's going to pull too much weight forward of your center of gravity in the stance. You're going to be off balance forward. Okay. Number two, the other thing it does is it pulls your front end down lower to the ground further out you get. You see that? What you do is you leave yourself with very little operating room underneath, and so it's very difficult to effectively accelerate the ball back in the other direction. Okay. Now, you're a pretty good athlete, so what you were doing to compensate for the overextension was you were hunkering down on the back end, pushing your weight back into the hips. But the net effect of that is we were getting you overstretched on the field. You're 6 foot tall? Okay, you were setting up like you're about 6'2". You're overstretched, and hunkering the weight back into the hips was leaving you pretty much flat-footed. Flat-footed wins no battles on the football field. You know that. The other problem that results from that is even if you do drive well with the legs, which you do pretty much, that drive is going to be like a hack squat. The only way it can be is straight up, vertically. Vertically does not contribute to the snap. In order to take that lower body motion energy and channel it into accelerating the ball towards the target, it needs to be back up and into the hips off of vertical about 10 to 20 degrees. That way it can converge with the motion energy of the upper body traveling down the spine in an arrow point that's directed straight at our target. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So the adjustments that we really needed to do, essentially, was to take your head and shoulders, all right, raise them a little higher off the ground relative to the back end. Okay? Does that make sense? Don't move the back end. Raise the front end. That moves you vertically further from the football, which allows you to bring it a little bit closer while still maintaining a good full arm extension. The next thing we needed to do was to shift your weight until we could position the knees directly over the toes, which is our standard measure of saying you're optimally balanced or balance neutral. Make sense? Okay, hop in here. Let's go ahead and three-step you. We'll get you set up just right, and then we'll talk about how you can make those adjustments yourself. You ready? Yep. Okay, the first thing I do is pull you forward. That gets knee bend to 90 degrees or less, straightens the back, and fully extends the arms. Then I raise you up, maximizing operating room under the torso. Especially when you get pads on, you're going to appreciate that space. The last thing I do is push you back into the hips towards your target, not down to the ground, okay? But back into the hips till the heels touch the ground, knees are over the toes, you're solid on your feet. The big thing yesterday I kept harping on is you have a tendency to keep lowering that front end a little too low to the ground. Let's raise that head and shoulders off the ground. See how it improves arm extension? Yeah. But we're not creating tension. Give it a throw. Let's see what happens. How's that feel? Okay. The other thing I did notice, and this was only sometimes yesterday, is that when you were overstretched, you've got to fight that overstretching to get the ball going in the right direction, and it looks a little hitchy. What it is you're fighting through that overstretching to a point where you can really accelerate the ball. Okay? Now we did also comment that you throw your head down and through as you come through, and as you release, you start to bring the head up. That's fine. If you ever start having trouble with your snaps, ask yourself, am I starting to pop the head up too early? Because that'll send energy in the wrong direction. We want it all going back towards our target, and it'll also cut short your follow-through, which will wreak havoc with your accuracy. We don't see it right now, but I want you to be aware that that can be an issue. Let's three-step you one more time, and then I'll show you how to adjust yourself. Okay? So I pull you forward, raise you up, push you back and in. Okay, set the ball on the ground. If you're never sure that you're balanced, just lift the ball off the ground. See the shift? Yeah. Now you're balanced. Give it a good hard throw. Where'd the ball go? Exactly right. A perfect setup leads to a perfect snap because all the energies travel and converge as they should. Okay? Now let's see how we can get you adjusted on your own. Since after today I probably won't see you for a year, huh? Okay? So you were a little low on the front end and you were hunkering back because you were too overextended and stretched. So we took the front end, raised it up a little bit, then we shifted the weight to get the knees right over the toes. As a long-limbed guy, that ball's a little further out than average. Average would be your eyes a third of the way up the ball. As long as it's not pulling weight forward and you're well balanced, that extension is fine. You comfortable? Yep. Don't get too hunkered down on me. You're a big guy, be big in the stance. Okay? Now we had you down a long time. I want you to do one more ball just absolutely perfect so we can document that for your future reference. Okay? So we raised the front end, shifted the weight to get you balanced, made sure that you were balanced, didn't get too low and hunkered down, throw it hard. Excellent. Feel pretty good? Okay. Left hand, make sure it's a positive fingertip grip and that you're not only controlling the ball with both hands, but also accelerating the ball with both hands. Any questions? Okay, yeah, here we go, Ryan. All right. So we don't have you overextended. We got you sitting into it and the knees over the toes for good balance. A little longer than your average bear. Good two-handed throw, head down and through. Excellent job, excellent job. Go ahead and move. Here we go. Okay, so don't be too overstretched downfield. That'll help prevent you from balling. Make sure the head's not so high that it's creating tension here. Just come down and through with a nice, quick, efficient throw. How that feels? Keep it rolling. Let's do one more. Still rolling? Okay. We've seen flashes of brilliance out of you. It's just a matter of practicing this summer to get it real consistent, all right? There it is. Excellent. Feel good?